Hello and welcome to episode 191 of Controller Club, the friendly face gaming space, a podcast where three friends from three continents share in one love, and that is video games. On today's show, State of Plays are back. The God of War TV show is shaping up nicely, and we have the developer behind upcoming Zelda-like Echo Isle on the show for a deep dive conversation on being a solo dev in 2026. But before all that, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Klein Felt, and alongside me today, as always, are two of my best friends in the whole wide gaming world. First, coming to us from across the pond, it is the digital art daredevil himself, Tom Drew. Tom, how are we doing? How are we feeling? What's going on?
Yeah, things are going good. A peek behind the curtain, we're recording this right after what we're going to be talking about on today's show. So feeling pretty like we're in from one thing and into the next thing. So it's a bit like frantic, but that's good. It's a good energy, and I'm just excited to talk about this stuff because it's a lot of cool stuff to talk about today.
Next up, it is journalist extraordinaire, the Australian abroad / the Canadian in training, my partner in crime, coming up this weekend at Fan Expo Vancouver. Look for us there. Lauren Rouse. Lauren, what's going on? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. As Tom said, we've just come out of an exciting day of games, so I'm feeling energized and I'm excited for this weekend. It's all happening. We've got a lot going on and I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, we have a very packed show for you today. As I noted, we got some news, we've got an interview, we're going to talk about games we've been playing. So let's hop on into it. Let's just right off the top get into the big deal of the week with the news we choose. Tom Drew, please give us that jingle.
It's the news we choose. Yeah.
As both of you set up, the PlayStation State of Play, the one we've been waiting for, has finally happened on Thursday afternoon. We are recording literally minutes after it ended. If you missed the live stream, we did a full live reaction up over on our YouTube channel right now. So head on over, watch that along with us, take in all the announcements, and come back here. We're going to break it down. I'm going to pull a bunch of information from Jason Finelli over at GameSpot. He has put up a great story breaking down everything. And then we're going to talk about some of our favorite announcements from the show, how we feel about the state of play and all of that. So let's get into it. 1 week after the first Nintendo Direct of 2026, PlayStation is joining the party with its first state of play of the new year. As part of the event, Sony promised 60 plus minutes of news and updates on games coming to PlayStation platforms. Highlights from the show included Kena Scars of Cosmora, a sequel to 2021's action platformer Kena Bridge of Spirits, a bevy of Konami announcements, including a new Castlevania game and the second Metal Gear Solid collection, several new Marvel Tokon characters revealed, the X-Men are all here, which is very exciting, and a remake of the OG God of War trilogy, along with the long-rumored God of War 2D Metroidvania. Guys, I think people could probably tell, judging from how, I don't know, how up the spirits were to start the show. How are we feeling coming off of the PlayStation State of Play for February 2026? Lauren, there were a lot of smiles on that live stream.
Yeah, this was the best state of play in almost recent memory. Like I think until since they announced the PS5, even with the showcase, like I think we have done so many of these reactions where we sort of come away being like, oh, there was, at least one big thing to look forward to. A couple have had like nothing really, have all been quite middling. This one felt like it was the combination of all of the best bits from other states of plays into one. So it was a huge show. It was over an hour, I think like an hour and 15 by the end, and just so much to unpack. It was kind of a ride from start to finish.
Yeah, I think that coming into this, we saw that hour mark, and a lot of us have kind of been wondering, are we ever going to get a PlayStation showcase again? Or is that ever going to be something that this company dives back into? And it's been over 2 years since the last one. And this, to me, seeing that 60-minute mark and now seeing what they provided, this was a PlayStation showcase in everything but name. I think that PlayStation showcase branding is dead, and this is what state of plays are going to be going forward. I don't know if we're going to get 6 or 7 of these a year, but 3 or 4 of these longer ones that are packed, that do not stop. I think one of the first things you said, Tom, about 10 minutes into the show was like, they haven't stopped at all. It's just game, 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 game. And then they stop down and have a couple people talk to the camera, and then they get back into the games. I think that this to me felt like a Nintendo Direct, like one of the big Nintendo Directs, but it was all PlayStation. I'm very excited if this is the new era of state of plays. But Tom, how are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty much sums to you guys. Yeah, you mentioned Nintendo Direct, and like we had the partner showcase a week or two ago at this point, and we didn't talk about it on the show. But it was like a pretty middling showcase, and I think that kind of led my expectations for this one to be like for this state of play to be like, okay, like if the direct wasn't that great, like the state of play is probably not gonna be that great either. And like in fairness, like recent state of plays have had some biggish announcements. Like the last one we had was it ended on Wolverine, but like this was the first time in a very long time where it felt like almost every announcement felt like substantial, and it felt like something worth your time to be checking out and to be showcasing at this event. So I think they just did a really good job of like balancing stuff we'd already known about, stuff we hadn't heard from in a long time, and just some stuff that's like completely took us by surprise. Like some things that I just didn't think we'd ever really get somehow made their way into this showcase. And yeah, like you said, Klein, it does feel like a Nintendo Direct in that way where it almost feels like I don't want to sound cheesy, but like if it's like feels magical in a way that like some of these things can kind of culminate in this way. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed, and like you guys say, I hope that Sony's now kind of taken the right lessons. And yeah, I'd welcome like fewer of these over the course of the year, but focusing really hard on making them like as great as they can possibly be.
Doing one now, doing one around Summer Game Fest time, but not at Summer Game Fest, like probably late May or maybe like the third week of June, and then one, let's say, in like September. A very similar tax to what we've seen Nintendo do over the last more than a decade at this point with their direct situation. But I think the thing that you brought up, Tom, that I want to shout out again is the way that they did pace and balance this show. Yes, not everything was brand new. We got Pragmata again. We got Resident Evil 9 again. But the way that they had this show paced, we're coming into that segment of the show, it was so breakneck that it was like, okay, we're going to slow down here. We know these games. There were very similar trailers. I do think that Pragmata trailer was a little more exciting to me than the Resident Evil 9 trailer, just because it was kind of new. We saw more of that New York environment and that sort of thing. But then right coming out of that, it's like, boom, we're going again, and we're not going to stop right until the end. So I think like that honestly reminds me of like some of the best like E3 showcases from back in the day where, yeah, they got to do some of the boring number stuff or, okay, the marketing deal trailer over here or whatever, but then it's going to go like right back into the meat and potatoes and the things that we as gamers are like, oh, this is new, this is exciting. And I want to commend Sony for the way that they put this whole together. I think that this showcase was so expertly paced, even though not every game was for all three of us. Like there were some games where it's like, I don't know if this is for me. There were some games where, Tom, you were sitting there, maybe not looking bored, but like, okay, I'm happy that this exists, but it might not be for me. And same with Lauren. I think that even though those games were there, immediately after, it's like, oh, here's something exciting. Here's something cool. Here's something that I am excited about and I'm looking forward to. So I'm very, very, very impressed with what they've done here.
Yeah, and I think like I was worried that like, with all the multiplayer stuff that's been happening at Sony and like a lot of the cancellations of multiplayer games, like I was worried that like, okay, Sony doesn't have anything left. But clearly from the showcase they do, which I'm really hopeful for. And they like clearly their 2026 is shaping up to be like it looks like pretty healthy from the looks of it.
And we got some day one drops, which is always a very, very special present. Lauren, what were some of your favorite announcements from the show?
Yeah, there was a lot of things that I just wasn't expecting. Like being a PlayStation showcase, there were some things we were expecting. Like I thought we would probably see Saros, and we did. So that again looks good. But these are all things that we've seen before. I think something that stood out was definitely the announcement of Ghost of Yotei Legends, which is the like multiplayer / co-op element that for Ghost of Yotei, which they also did for Ghost of Tsushima. By all reports, it's very good. It's very fun to play, and we had a feeling that like this would be coming for Yotei at some point, and now it is. It's coming on, I think March 10th or something like that. So not too long, like 3-4 weeks away. So that looks very cool. I am deep in Ghost of Yotei still, so that world is very familiar to me. I'm really looking forward to like trying out the co-op stuff for the first time, like hopefully with you guys, because you're the only other people I know who play. But yeah, that looked really good to me.
And coming free for anyone who owns Ghost of Yotei already, which is also very exciting. I bet you this will be a one-off purchase. If you don't have Ghost of Yotei, you want to play Legends, maybe $20 it might cost you. But if you have the game already, you can jump in, play with friends. I did play Legends with Ghost of Tsushima, and it is an absolute blast. It's like Destiny style missions with your friends in this kind of supernatural Japanese world, not quite the same as the one that you play the game in, and it is quite a lot of fun. Tom, how did you feel about the Legends? I don't think it was reveal. I think we knew it was coming, but I think this is the first time we've seen what this is
Yeah,
actually going to
what it
look like.
looks
That we've
like.
seen gameplay. How'd you feel about that
Yeah.
reveal, and what other announcements do you want to shout out?
Yeah, I thought it was really, really cool. Like, I think the fact that it is free, like, that's obviously like a great thing because you can just dive into the game if you already have it, which is really fun. Yeah, I thought it showed really well. Like, and it's exciting that like they showed it, and it is just so soon. Like, it's coming in a few weeks, and we can play it very soon. But yeah, I love the aesthetic. Like, I didn't play Legends, so I'm not too familiar with like the gameplay style of like translating, uh, Tsushima or Yote's combat over to that. But seeing this in play with like the kind of crazy Elden Ring esque kind of Yote 6 characters and yeah, just the kind of world you exist in this really, really ethereal horrific world that you're put in. It's definitely captured my interest. So I think I definitely want to give it a go with you guys at some point. But yeah, in terms of like announcements, there are so many I could shout out. I mean, like Metal Gear was huge. The fact that we're finally getting Metal Gear Solid 4 um as like a new release, like after it being trapped on the PS3 for so long. I think that's super exciting. I mean, Konami really kind of blew it out of the water here, but with all of their showings. I think that leads into my game of the show, which is Castlevania Belmont's Curse. Like, it just presents it really well. I think you said, Klein, it's by the Dead Cells developers, right?
Yeah, that's what it seemed. Motion Twin. So it seems to be from. I don't know if it's. They've got a few teams over there, and so they had some people working on that Rogue Prince of Persia game and a few other
Mhm.
things. But this is yeah, Dead Cells related in some way.
Yeah, and like the art style, like it just looks gorgeous. Some of the like explosions and effects, like animations, look amazing. Just how fluid the combat looks with the main kind of character, and like some of the whip kind of abilities that you can see. Them using like I haven't played like a proper Castlevania game. Like, I've played a bunch of Metroidvanias, I've played Metroid games, but Castlevania is the one that I haven't touched. So this is like really pushed me towards properly playing Castlevania game and then eventually playing this because yeah, I didn't think we would get a Castlevania game in 2026, but the fact that we did and the fact that you predicted it when we were predicting this, Klein, um, it's kind of insane that you kind of conjured
I thought it
this
was
in.
going to be at the Nintendo Direct, but I will
Yeah.
happily take it here. It's very exciting. I think that this, if you hadn't taken it, I would have brought it up. Castlevania Belmont's Curse. It's been so long since we've gotten a traditional, brand new 2D Castlevania, and I said it on the live stream. I'm discovering in playing um Hollow Knight Silk Song and having like over the last year or so really, really taken a deep dive into the Metroidvania genre after years of liking them, but over the last year or so, I've played like if you looked at all the games I played, there's a dominant share of them that are Metroidvanias. I think I'd be happy just playing this genre for the rest of my life and only playing this genre. I think that like I figured out that this is the kind of game that I love the absolute most. And I too, Tom, haven't really played a lot of Castlevania before. I am right now playing through all of the GBA Castlevania games, actually, the Game Boy Advance ones, because I've heard very good things about that. I've played through Symphony of the Night, but getting a brand new one that looks as good as this in a world that we have games like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and even something like Metroid Dread and things like that, and Hollow Knight, of course. It's like we were just waiting for a new Castlevania to come about during this Metroidvania renaissance, and we finally got it, and it looks this good, and it looks to be just like we are doing what Castlevania does best with all this amazing exploration and lore and gothic horror aesthetic in this beautiful new art style. Like I think that this game, it looks, it's such a try, like I don't know, it's well trodden territory to say it, but like it looks like a cartoon come to life, and I think that it is so pretty. I'm very much looking forward to it. I have the page open over on the PlayStation blog right now. There's not really a ton of new information other than that launches this year, which is very exciting.
The fantasy critic's going to be getting a workout this week, I think.
Oh
Lots of bids
god,
are going to be going in.
I didn't even think about that. Oh man, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get the bids in, because some scores have started coming in. I made a bid a couple weeks ago for the, Yakuza remake, thinking I'm gonna knock this one out of the park. I think it got me like a 72. So I think I have like 2 points coming off of that. Yeah, so here we are. My pick is the other big Metroidvania announced. Obviously, I am very excited they announced the OG God of War trilogy is getting a remake. That is so cool. It's in development. It's still very far away, but a God of War game that isn't very far away is God of War Son of Sparta, a pixel art God of War 2D Metroidvania that we'd kind of heard, okay, they're making a 2D Metroidvania. I thought for a long time this could work. A God of War Metroidvania just makes absolute sense. But seeing it in action, it looks amazing. The action looks so smooth. These characters in this world look just like a whole lot of fun to explore. And best of all, it's out right now. It is a shadow drop. You can pick it up on PlayStation as we speak. I'm going to download it and play it as much as I can until I have to get on a plane tomorrow morning to head to Fan Expo Vancouver. Because if this game was on Switch, I would be packing the Switch with me for this trip and I would be playing it all weekend long. But it is PlayStation bound right now. How are you two feeling about the God of War announcements? We can kind of package the remake announcement as well as the Metroidvania here. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe this is a shadow drop. Like, I thought that was such a cool thing to do, especially with the fake out where they showed the 2026 and then they broke it, and it's actually a day. It's here
Mm.
today, so that's awesome. I also love the fact that it is like a pixel art, art style. I think that's something like really lost in kind of these like AAA franchises. So it's really nice that they return to that. It reminds me of like, I don't know if anyone will get this reference, but there used to be these like pixel art games called by these developers called Nitrome, which were like you play them in browser, and there was this game called Double Edged, and it was basically it wasn't like a Metroidvania, but it was basically this game. It was like you played as these Spartan warriors, and you go around and beat people up basically. And the art style looks really similar. So I don't know if there's any crossover there, but I think that's kind of cool. And yeah, I think like the game looks great. I can't wait to try it out. But yeah, the trilogy like announcement. Obviously, like it's a shame that it's so far away. But obviously, we're getting a new God of War game today, so you can't really complain that much. But yeah, really cool that that's coming. I'm curious to see what that looks like. You guys were saying on the live stream that it might look like basically what the new God of War games look like, but applied to those original games, which I think would be really cool. Because yeah, I've never played them, so I'd love to dive back into those games. But yeah, just I think Santa Monica like showing up here was really fun.
Lauren, are you going to dive into the Metroidvania?
I have to say, like, Metroidvanias don't really do it for me like they do for you guys. Like, I have given them my fair share of time. I think I will get to it eventually, like when it's on PS Plus or something like that. I'm not like dying to play it right now unless something comes out about it that's like you absolutely must play. I actually think it was the trilogy announcement that got me more excited because I am sort of itching to revisit that original God of War story, like to see how he became the Kratos that we know from the Norse saga. And just want to shout out the original voice actor for Kratos, TC Carson, was the one announcing this, and he had such a vibe. He was so entertaining to watch. I'm like, can he just announce all PlayStation State of Plays now? I need him as the regular host. Can he host the Game Awards? Something like that. Like it was really fun. So that's cool that he's coming back to seemingly voice Kratos in those games. But yeah, if they can redo those games with the modern God of War combat, like that is the biggest selling point to me. So I'm keen for that. But yeah, well, jury's out on the Metroidvania. It's like it's got to be really, really special to sort of get me to jump in to that kind of genre.
Well, we'll let you know because I know Tom and I are going to be diving in to giving it a shot. Any other games that we want to shout out here? There was over an hour of announcements, so there's still plenty on the floor that's worth talking about. Ben Quadraneros from
Oh
the
my god!
prequels. He's coming to Galactic Racers. I think that as silly as that was, the trailer for that game really sold me on it. I'm really looking forward to that game. I think that it is going to be a lot of fun. These former Burnout devs making a Star Wars racing game, and just the way that they embodied that action in the trailer itself. If you don't like racing games, you might not like this, but I think Burnout specifically has such an appeal to people who don't necessarily get into racing games because it's super arcadey. It's all about this like crash and bash action where you're getting into these crazy wrecks as you're going about the racetrack. And if they can mix that energy into a Star Wars game where those races, we see it in episode 1 just a little bit, are ruthless and lawless and there have no rules. And so kind of mixing that into the game itself looks like a lot of fun. But any other thing that we want to shout out here?
I want to say I was really pleasantly surprised. I had high hopes for this regardless, but I was really sold on Control Resonant this time around. They had a proper look at gameplay and what you'll be doing in the game, and this new character who has all these really cool supernatural abilities, this great like gravity shifting ability that completely turns the world around as you move around it. It just looks really cool, and that's another one that they confirm is coming out this year, so that's very exciting. I think, like, yeah, you guys have been telling me forever to play Control, and I'm like interested, but I've seen enough of a playthrough of Control to be like, I might do it for the plot, but it's like the gameplay of this is way more appealing to me. Just the sort of abilities and the world that you're in, and these kind of interesting creatures that you encounter, like that kind of stuff really speaks to me. So this trailer was a really good showing.
Tom, anything you want to shout out? The X-Men are here. That's exciting.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I think, well, both Galactic Racer and Control were also like on my list. They looked incredible. Control just looks like, yeah, like Mario Galaxy mixed with Gravity Rush, which looks, it's just insane. Like I love the visuals of that.
Mixed with
so.
Devil May Cry.
Yeah, it's
A
just
little
an
bit too.
insane mix. They've really kind of like changed the format of that franchise a lot, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, I think Marvel Token, the fact that I was here, like I was kind of shocked how quickly I picked up, like, oh, this is like X-Men stuff, and it was straight into the Marvel Token. I'm so glad that we got some X-Men reps here. Obviously it's not my boy Cyclops, but I'll take what I can get. The fact that, yeah, Magic is here, who's like, you know, seen a resurgence because of Marvel Rivals, but like a super underrated character overall. Just her combat style looks great, and I'm glad she's in the game. Obviously, Wolverine had to be here, and his combat style looks awesome. I love that the fact that his, like, I guess, I don't know, you call them, like, the wings on his mask look are just huge, as they should be. So that's fun. And then Danger, who's like basically, if you don't know, like a pretty obscure X-Men villain who's basically the embodiment of the Danger Room in the X-Mansion. And I love that. I love when fighting games like pick out these really obscure choices for characters and just make them kind of their own and see what they can do with it. So I completely welcome that. I think that's really awesome. And the fact that we've got a release date, August 6th. So we're going to be getting our beach boards, and we're going to be getting our gamer boards as well, because we're going to be training up Marvel Token all summer. So it's going to be, yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah, the last game I'll shout out is that Project Windless game, which is like the action game where you play as this giant chicken with 2 giant swords. It looks crazy. I like, just between all of the madness of this showcase, seeing that here, that kind of just like blew my mind. So might play it. It looks goofy and fun. So sure, why not? Chicken fighting game. Let's go.
What are we giving this showcase on a grade? If this was going to school, you need to give it a report card. What are we writing in that little blank?
I think I'm giving it probably an A. I think if it would be it would be a perfect showcase if there was maybe something from like Intergalactic or like Gorilla or something like that, just to have that one more first party PlayStation game that we maybe didn't know about before. But I think apart from that, it was the hits never stopped coming. So yeah, I think it was really up there.
I'm also going to give it an A. I think the one thing that could have raised it was the fact that I think that God of War remake announcement is as big as Intergalactic or the next Sony Santa Monica game or whatever Cory Barlog's secret game is. It's just we didn't see it. It was a logo.
It's too
That's
early.
all, right?
Yeah.
So if they had one more thing where it's like, hey, we're going to show you another look at Intergalactic or some big surprise like that, then I think I would raise it up to an A+. But this is about as solid as it can get. I think that they really knocked it out of the park with the surprises, plus the things we already knew about, plus new information on things that we knew about. Basically, everything that we saw here today, there wasn't just like, hey, remember this is coming out. It was like, hey, here is actively something new about this, whether it be a release date or a new gameplay feature or gameplay for the first time at all.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much in agreement with you guys. Like, I think it's probably an A. There's like nothing. There's not much in this like a really fault or like change. I think this is pretty much the perfect state of play you can get. The only thing like I would have loved this would have made it like the perfect state of play is if we did get Final Fantasy VII Remake 3. Like that would have just set it over the edge completely. But maybe that's me being a little bit greedy. But no, I think it's overall just like yeah, phenomenal showing really, and yeah, keep up the good work, PlayStation. This is good stuff.
Tom, if there's ever a state of play that's like really mid, but they announce the new Final Fantasy, does it get an A+ automatically?
It will.
Yeah, right. Yeah, unfortunately, but that's just how.
Tifa's there. It automatically gets an A+.
Yeah, a simple man.
It's funny that we've been talking about God of War as much as we have here. We didn't know this was going to be the case when we were planning the show. But Lauren, for your news story this week, we have like a lot of new information about the God of War TV show. They've basically rounded out their cast and are about to start shooting.
Yeah, so this has kind of been going on in the background the last few weeks, and I think this week with the latest casting, it's like, all right, it's finally time to talk about it. We know some of the people who are going to be in the God of War TV show, which Prime Video is making, and I thought it'd be fun because Klein, I think actually it was all three of us. I can't remember who it was, but it was definitely Klein and I did a fan casting. Were you there, Tom?
Yeah, it looks like I am based on
Okay, because there's some that
previous
you
stuff. Yeah,
haven't been here for. Anyway, but yeah, I thought it'd be fun to look back on who we thought when this was announced should play these characters versus who they've cast. Not all of the ones that we picked have been cast yet. There are still clearly a few more to go while they ramp up for shooting. But yeah, so I'll just go through the list here. These have been coming out sporadically, but playing Kratos, we have Ryan Hurst. And Ryan is an actor people might know from, well, I knew him from Sons of Anarchy, but he's also apparently in The Walking Dead. He was also the voice of Thor in God of War Ragnarok, so he's returning, but just in a different role. So that's kind of cool. This week we learned that Callum Vinson is playing Atreus, which is Kratos' son. And then, so those are the two main parts. And then we have some other supporting characters. So we've got Alistair Duncan as Mimir. That's an actor returning from the game. We have Danny Woodburn as Brock and Jeff Golka as Sindri. We have Max Parker as Heimdall, Olafur Darry Olafsson as Thor, Mandy Patinkin as Odin, and Teresa Palmer as Sif. So I want to know what you guys think of this. Actually, let's look at our fan cast. We can compare. But yeah, what are our general thoughts on these actors? Do we have any that really stand out? And yeah, who are you most excited to see bring this character to life? Because it's interesting as well is that a lot of these characters are from Ragnarok, not the original God of War. So they're doing something interesting with the story here. You can tell.
I have a feeling that they're kind of setting the foundation now for when we get to a season 2. So I think that these characters like Thor and Odin's not a part of the first game, are going to be a part of this season 1 story, and then we can sprinkle them in the bigger roles that they have in season 2. As for the cast as a whole, I am quite impressed with what we've gotten so far. I think I don't know a ton of the names that they have listed, but just looking at everybody, I'm like, yeah, I can see how this, especially Thor. I'm like, I can see how you could be at least Sony Santa Monica's version of that character. Ryan Hurst, I think, will do a great job. It's going to be on Ryan and Callum to really anchor the show, obviously, because it is Kratos and Atreus' story. I don't know. There is part of me that I'm like, Kratos has always been voiced by a person of color, and so I was wondering if that's where they would go with the live action actor, and obviously that is not the case. But I do think that Ryan Hurst has a godly presence to him, and so I think that he will be able to bring that character to life.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like, I think Ryan's performance as Thor in Ragnarok is so good, and that's like really what I know him from. So like, I think translating that over to this performance with Kratos, I'm hopeful that like he'll really bring it and bring that gravitas and that kind of just like aura, I guess, to what you need to portray something like Kratos. And yeah, like I like similar to Klein, I'm not familiar with like a ton of the names. Like I mean, like, it's great that Alistair Duncan's also back. Like, I think he's one
Mm.
of my favorite parts of those two games. He's just so witty and fun. So it's great that they decided to just bring him back for this. Interesting. There's seemingly no Freya casting yet.
Mm.
So I'm going to be
That's what I
really
mean. They
interested
can't
to
be
see who they.
done.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's going to be a really important role to pick. I'm going to be interested to see who they get. But I'm it almost I'm almost kind of glad that a lot of these people I'm not that familiar with, because I feel like I can get like more, I guess, more invested in or buy these people as these characters a little bit more. Sometimes when you get, big names, it can get a little bit distracting. But I think this is like this just seems like a good mix to really keep this show as grounded as you would need it to be.
Yeah, I feel about this cast the same way that I kind of did about the Last of Us cast, where it's like I trust them wholeheartedly in who they're picking. And even though it's not who I might have pictured, I still think they're the right people because I think this is in that same level of sort of prestige as the Last of Us adaptation. And so I think that who they're picking seems to be like I think they're going to surprise us, and I think they're going to be the right people for. I was always most recently when they hadn't cast Atreus, I was like wholeheartedly behind like Alfie Williams playing Atreus. He's the young kid from 28 Years Later. But then I think seeing this, I was like, I think he's probably aged out just a little bit now that you see how young they're casting Atreus. Like he obviously ages between the two seasons, but I think this is probably preparing for that. And as far as I know, I think they're going to film the seasons either back to back or pretty quickly. Like they've got a 2-season order. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of the Norse gods being cast now. But yeah, shouting out Teresa Palmer. She's Australian. She's playing Sif. That's pretty cool. Mandy Patinkin, I think, is from Homeland or one of those shows. He's very talented and completely see him as Odin. So I think that's really good casting. And yeah, I also know that this is happening very soon because I saw Ryan Hurst at a restaurant here in Vancouver the other day. And I was like, hey, that's Kratos. And he was with a lot of people. So I was like, oh, I wonder if any of them are part of the show as well. But I didn't recognize anyone. So watch this space. But it is happening here in Vancouver. They're gearing up any week now to get started. But yeah, I don't know if you guys looked back on your fan casts, if there's anyone you wanted to shout out. I had originally picked Jason Momoa as Kratos, which, to be honest, I still stand by. I think he would have done a good job. But hey, he's in Helldivers now. So that was other exciting news this week.
Mhm. That's true. Yeah, it's crazy, kind of crazy. Yeah, I could still see that Jason Momoa, like that. That still works, I think. The one that from me, and I mentioned Freya. I still think Rebecca Ferguson could be a great threat. Freya. I think she's like great in franchise stuff. She's just like a great, always like brings it with her performances. So I don't know if Prime Video is watching this podcast. Maybe hit Rebecca Ferguson up.
Yeah, if
It's still
Rebecca's in
time.
contention, listen now.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, because
The
Freya
only-
Boulder, we haven't heard who's playing them yet, and we cast them in our
Yeah.
original fan casts.
Yeah, I still think Boyd Holbrook as Balder is just like a just absolute banger pick. And Amazon, if you're watching, that's yours. You can have that. The only names seeing here that have been cast that I would like to have seen is the Simon Pegg, Nick Frost as Sindri and Brock would just
Oh
it'd be
yeah,
great.
That would have been
It'd be fantastic.
yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to see that the rest of this cast list ran out. There are still some exciting characters to come, but it's just exciting that it's happening because and soon we're having Last of Us start up here. It's crazy that these two shows are both going to film here. And they'll probably both be out in the same year, I'm going to assume. So gamers be eating.
You think so? Oh, I guess that. I guess that makes sense because God of
Yeah.
War's probably next year.
Mhm.
That would be my
So
guess.
Crazy. That's
and
crazy.
you'll be getting us the exclusive, right, Lauren?
That's right. If anybody from HBO or Amazon's listening, which we know you are, I'm here for the taking.
That's awesome. It feels like it's come together very fast. The God of
Yeah.
War
Yeah.
was announced so long ago, and then all of
That's
a
the
sudden
thing,
it's just like
yeah.
castings happening, and then now like cameras are going to start rolling in a matter of weeks, and I think that's
Yeah.
awesome and exciting, and we'll have plenty to talk about on the show.
Yeah, because they was marinating for a long time, and then they brought in the showrunner who I have forgotten the name of, but he's the Battlestar Galactica showrunner. And as soon as he came on, it flew. So I feel like he's one of those people you bring on to like really streamline a project, and now we're
Which
flying.
I find really funny because he was brought in to Sony Santa Monica at one point before they did this God of War story to make a sci-fi game that was canceled, and then they did this God of War story.
It was meant to be.
It was
Yeah.
meant to be. It always comes back to Kratos. That's going to do it for the news we choose. Tom, Drew, give us that outro.
It's the news we choose. Yeah.
And now I'm going to throw it over to Pascaline for our Echo Isle dev interview. Going to hop over there, and we'll be back in a little bit. Hello and welcome to another Controller Club dev conversation. Today, I am joined by Josh Koenig from Echo Isle. That is the game he is making. He is a solo dev working on a beautiful Zelda-like with the demo right now out on Steam. You can play it right now. Josh, welcome to the show. How are you doing? You're making a game. It's awesome.
Thank you, Klein. I'm happy to be here. I got your invite over the email and I was delighted. So, yes, I'm making a game. This is my 4th Steam release. So, you think by now I'd be used to it, that the butterflies would go away, but no. I'm as anxious every time. But we're coming up on Next Fest, which is a big visibility thing for me. So I'm trying to get buzz out before that, and then hoping to release not too long after that.
Excellent. We're looking forward to playing it. Now, before we get too deep into it, I'm just going to describe, I'm going to go through the Steam description, what this game actually is. Echo Isle is a mini adventure inspired by classic games. Grab your sword, unlock new abilities, battle monsters, and explore ancient ruins to collect the 4 legendary Echo Stones. Now, Josh, you kind of teased it up. For people who don't know, that description does a great job of, if you've actually seen it and have gotten a chance to play it, it does a fantastic job of describing what the game is. But for people who haven't yet seen Echo Isle, what is this game? How does this story start for you, and kind of where are we at with it?
Yeah, so my last game, Firefly Village, was a farming sim, which are very trendy and is doing quite well. But I wanted to create something that was a little more nostalgic for me. So I've been recently going back and playing the Game Boy Color games that I grew up with. So of course you've got lots of different RPGs, your Dragon Warriors, but then the Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, and Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages games were also big ones. And I wanted to kind of capture that nostalgia and that essence and try to present it, but with a modern touch. It's not one-to-one Game Boy. There's more colors on screen. I take some liberties, but I think the nostalgic feel is there. And I can say that because I have been playtesting this game extensively and absolutely trying to nail what makes people feel that way. And from the latest batch of playtest feedback, I think people seem pretty positive. So I hope we're there.
How far back does the Echo Isle journey sort of go? As you mentioned, you, as a developer, as a solo dev, have worked on 4 games all yourself, and now you're here at the 4th one. When does the idea for Echo Isle kind of start for you? And I guess kind of just walk us through your dev journey so far, because it is, I think, so cool that we find ourselves in an industry where somebody like you can go, hey, I want to make a game, let's make it happen. And you've now done it almost 4 times.
Yeah. Wow. So, man, there's so many different ways I could answer that, because the idea goes way back. I found on itch.io, it's a great website full of games and also assets for developers. And there was a Zelda pack on there uploaded maybe years ago. So I think that pack, when I saw that, was like, wait, I could make something with that. But I simmered on that. That wasn't something. So you could say even back then, the seeds were being planted. But as for the actual sit down and like grind this out, I would say last fall. That's when I was kind of wrapping up Firefly Village, doing the final updates, adding the marriage content there. And then just for my own sanity, I needed another project to work on in between all the farming sims. So I had a few, but this is the one I kept coming back to. And yeah, when I say since last fall, it's not like, evenings and weekends. No, I mean, like, this has been my life. I have not had any kind of outside existence to Echo Isle. It has just been Echo Isle nonstop for 4 months now. But yeah, it's at the point where people love the demo, which is fantastic. And I just hope to deliver more of the same going into it.
And where does your kind of developer story begin then? Because this is game number 4. Is this
Mhm.
something that you always thought you would be doing? Were you the kid growing up reading Nintendo Power going, I want to make those one day? Or is this something that you kind of like, as you have grown, gone, oh, you know what? Maybe I like games. Maybe this could be a fun sort of thing to do.
As cliche as it is, yeah, I did have Nintendo Power subscriptions, and I read every page. Believe me. I took a introduction to game design course in 6th grade, which was all about Game Maker. Which is, I know if you're familiar with Undertale, that was created with Game Maker. It's a fantastic tool for beginners, and I wanted to make a platformer with a character who could swing a sword. That was my goal. That would be my dream game. And I quickly realized I could not figure out how to code swinging a sword. So that got dropped real quick. But I said, hey, at the very least, I can make a platformer. Then I realized I couldn't figure out how to code jumping. So I have a character that can move left and right. And you just try to dodge things. And you move from the left side to the right side. And you do that 4 times and it says you win. And that was my first game. And I was over the moon with that. I mean, that's the neat thing about starting as a kid, because you can make genuinely terrible games and people will still be like, oh, that's so good. So I, I didn't have that sense of shame and like judging myself, and I could just make my terrible games. And as I made terrible game after terrible game, they eventually slowly got more and more better. And now today, apparently people are willing to pay for them, which is something I never thought I'd get to. Let that be said, don't let that dissuade you if you're older and thinking about getting into game dev, because I mean, as long as you're willing to power through those first terrible games, you can definitely get where I got. I don't have any kind of insider knowledge or talent there.
It's just all skills that you've picked up along the way, kind of as you've gone. And one of those skills, obviously, has been learning how to program a character with the sword, because
Yes.
Kohail is very, very intrinsically tied to a character swinging a sword. And you've talked about, you had this big love of Zelda and replaying those games and wanting to
Mhm.
kind of explore that with this new game, obviously having done kind of farming simulator and stuff like that in the past. But this is something specific about Echo Isle that I want to shout out. It's a very, yes, Zelda game, but it is unique in that it's this really, really cool setting for a Zelda game. We have seen maritime settings in the Zelda world,
Mhm.
obviously Wind Waker. I might even like Link's Awakening
Mhm.
definitely falls into that bucket as well. But this is such a unique look and feel to this kind of adventure. Where does that come from? Do you have a personal connection to like the coast and seafaring ways, or is you just kind of thought, hey, like this could be a cool vibe for a Zelda like time?
Kind of a happy accident, let me tell you. I had a tower that I wanted to be the central point of a little world. And since the world was little, and like intentionally, I wanted to keep things small scope because it's just me. And I wanted to make sure everything was polished. So it became an island. And then a tower in the middle of the island, well, that became a lighthouse. And it just sort of evolved into it. There was no plan to get here, just a bunch of happy accidents, I suppose. But I do appreciate you noticing that.
No, it's awesome. And I do also want to shout, it's not just the setting, it's the world that you
Mhm.
create and the characters. Yet the demo that I have touched is very short. You go, I think, right up through what I would consider the first dungeon, if we
Mhm.
are going with Zelda terms. But you meet some fun, quirky characters. You can pet the dog, huge, a absolute win for me. Love that. But I love these little bits of personality, and it's one of the things I do love about Nintendo and specifically the Zelda franchise is they are do such a good job of set dressing. When you walk into a village and you talk to somebody, they're going to have something interesting or funny to say. And I want to shout out, there's a girl very early in the demo who's fishing, and she's fishing for compliments. I think like that, just like that fun twist of humor is such a, I don't know, such an exciting thing as a gamer, because it now makes me want to go and talk to every single person that I see. Where did that come from? Where did this like level of personality within the world come from? And is there, I mean, anything you're willing to share? Obviously, the game is not done yet. It is not out yet. But can we expect a lot more of that as we kind of get deeper into this adventure?
Ah, see, I myself am questioning that because I don't want to turn it into a farming sim too. Like I do want the focus to be on the ruins and the action and the items, but I mean the girl with the harp does keep popping up, so I do want to at least give her a conclusion, and possibly have the other characters popping up as well. I, I guess that's going to come down to playtesting and kind of my own vibe as I'm coding it. I don't really want to lock in until I see how it shakes out.
Sure.
I
Okay.
know that's
And
kind of
so
a nothing
no,
answer,
no,
but
no. That makes total sense. It is all like a work in progress, and I think that
it
that's
really
some of
is.
I love doing these kind of interviews. Of course, when the game is out and we can crack it open and we can look at everything, but I love
Mhm.
getting a like midway through, like we're in the middle of it, and it's like, hey, where are we standing right now? What does
Yeah.
it look like? Because even if it were to release tomorrow, I'm sure there are things today that you would be making changes on, and it is an active work in progress. So I do really like that. What is as we look forward and move ahead with Echo Isle, what can fans expect beyond kind of this first dungeon? Because obviously the demo will be out and they'll get to the end of the first dungeon. You get an item or two, you battle a boss or two, there are enemies. What can we expect kind of as the game rolls on?
I think the demo really is a perfect sampler of what is to come. I do hope to kind of maintain what you got. There's not going to be some sort of crazy bait and switch halfway through where actually is this kind of game. Uh, More complex dungeons, more bosses, new items with each one that kind of add that complexity, filling out the rest of your map, exploring the rest of the island. Um, it, it, it's sort of basic, but that's by design because I think that caught on for a reason. You know?
I know, I totally agree. I think that um it's funny playing through the demo and you get to this boss at the end of this first dungeon.
Mhm.
I found it quite difficult at first. I was like, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? And then the Nintendo part of my brain clicked and I was like, wait a second. I have been given this item here
Mhm.
in the dungeon and I need to be using it. I need to actively be using it to defeat this boss. And I think like that is such a Nintendo thing and such a Nintendo way of designing a game that it sounds really easy when you just say it like that, but I'm sure it's incredibly hard to come up with those ideas and find those unique items and then now come up with these combat and puzzle scenarios to make them work. I don't know if you can speak on that at all as
Yeah.
the man kind of putting this all to paper and making it happen.
The neat thing about the first boss too is you don't need to use the item. Absolutely helps, would recommend, but people that want to just go in with the sword can do that, which I love the Zelda games, but some of the bosses are literally just shoot the eye with the arrow or like very formulaic. I wanted mine to actually feel more like a battle. So not all the bosses will revolve around the item in a way that a Zelda game would. A lot of them are just straight up like brawls. But yes, absolutely, the item in the first dungeon can give you a strong edge if you decide to use it in the boss battle. And yeah, it's literally just I have tons of test rooms where I play around with the items and I try silly things, and then the things that work I just move over into the final copy, and the things that don't I mean I get rid of them. Like that's the beauty of intentionally making this a smaller game. I don't have to pad it. I can really focus on the I don't even really want to say puzzles because like the game does have puzzles. I think the dungeon navigation with the keys is a puzzle in of itself, but it's not like a Oracle of Ages where you're sitting there coloring all the tiles a certain color or whatever. Um, but yeah, just the general flow. I think I take the best things that work from the test and I try to build around those.
You mentioned silly things that don't end up making it in the game. Anything in particular stand out? I know I love hearing dev stories where it's like, oh, we did this and the entire thing exploded, or oh, we tried this and there was this big unintentional consequence. Were there any silly additions you wanted to make, tried and went, yeah, that's not going to work?
Oh my gosh, so many. I think one, and this is the value of playtesting. I had when you reach the first dungeon, you could hit a switch that would basically give you a portal back to the town. Really, no reason to use that. Just kind of a hey, the world is connected. Like, check it out. You've made a loop. And I was so proud of that. And then I had multiple playtesters hit that portal, go back to town, not having touched the first dungeon, and being like, I'm in the town, now what? Everybody's saying the same thing. I maybe the demo is just over. And then closing it out. And I'm just like, oh, so I actually got rid of the portal and added more NPC guideposts to be like, hey, there's an Echo Stone here. Try to get that. And that all came about because my well-intentioned Metroidvania looping actually caused more confusion than keeping it more linear early on. So that would be a
Hilarious.
great example. Yeah.
That's awesome. I really like that. Something that this game obviously does, we've talked about it plenty, is it wears this Zelda inspiration on its sleeve. But I want to ask you, are there any other big games, even not even game, just things, inspirations to this game that you think might surprise some people that you're kind of using as a core text?
Yeah, but you kind of have to squint for this one, right? I recently replayed through Mega Man Legends, which is a PlayStation.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
are you familiar? Okay.
I love Mega Man Legends.
Yeah, because I was going into Echo Isle with a very Zelda puzzle, keep things regimented, focused kind of thing. And then I loved how just open and loose Mega Man Legends was. Like the dungeons were all kind of open, and it was okay if there was a room with just some enemies that would spring down or a chest. Like, not everything had to be a puzzle box. And then there was like kind of the lighthearted moments with roll in between that it sort of just changed my entire context for designing it. So I sort of wanted to borrow that more lighthearted, vibrant, open, not necessarily Nintendo try-hard design philosophy, which has taken a lot of stress off of me, in particular as the developer. So yeah, that would be a weird one I would call out.
That's awesome. So what I'm hearing is that if Capcom won't do Legends 3, that's what the fifth game from Josh. Everybody, you heard it here first.
Love to. I am terrible with 3D. I don't know if Mega Man Legends could work in 2D. Believe me, the thought has crossed my mind 100 times. I've prototyped it, couldn't quite get it, but yes, I would love to make a Mega Man Legends adjacent one day in the far future when I'm a little more capable with 3D modeling.
That's awesome. And because it is just you, I think like that is, you have to learn it. Like you can't, you have no one really else to rely on when it comes to the programming and putting
Yeah.
the game together. And so I think that we can kind of like talk a little bit about the industry as a whole and what it means to be a solo dev and indie development in general right now. And I want to ask you, how does it feel looking at the industry and everything that we see day in, day out in games right now? How do you as a solo dev kind of react to that and feel as kind of a lone wolf going at this thing?
I have a unique perspective because I did work as a producer at a game studio for a year. So I've sort of seen different levels to this. Of course, there's your AAA and your Ubisoft and your Concords, and I don't want to turn this into a doomer discussion here, but I do think that the AAA is kind of pursuing a certain genre, demographic, live service type deal, and if you don't fall in that umbrella, you're sort of left by the wayside, which is a good opportunity for smaller studios to kind of treat those niches. I don't think you would ever see like a AAA studio making like a Game Boy like game like that's just that's too big of a risk for them. You know, it's got to be like that Fortnite AAA style graphics. So that's cool because that gives us little guys an opportunity to fill those niches that I think are left behind. And even working at the studio I did, it was neat because they weren't like super indie, but they also weren't massive. They were kind of straddling that middle ground, and seeing those discussions where like how can we differentiate, but also, you know, don't be too risky, but I can be risky because it's just me. So if the game flops, which would be terrible, I'm only messing myself over. I'm not like, I don't have to lay off a whole team. So I can take those risks, which is really liberating.
Do you have hope looking at kind of all of the doom and gloom that you mentioned? Do you have hope that we may be coming out of this, that the future of the gaming industry is a bright one?
I can't predict the future, but I do think the good games that come out do get recognized, like the Clair Obscura and the Baldur's Gate and all of those. They weren't from, like, you could argue Baldur's Gate was like part of a sequel, but like it really kind of felt more like a sequel to the Divinity Original Sin. Like it was its own thing, and I think the fact that it was so successful speaks that good games do genuinely do well here. As for the industry as a whole, I can't really begin to predict that, but I do think that gamers are still buying games. People haven't stopped playing video games and given up. And speaking for myself, I do hope that we can find an audience out there that resonates.
I know that probably for the last few months you have been just knee deep in Echo While, and so probably don't have a lot of time to play anything else. But
yeah,
have you gotten a chance to play anything recently? What have you been playing? Or maybe what are you looking ahead now that maybe Echo While, I don't know how close you are to release. That's a question I'll ask a little later on. But is there anything coming up here in 2026 that you're like, man, I can't wait to jump into that?
You know, I've actually been on such a Game Boy kick. I just recently, like as in the last week, rebeat Dragon Warrior Monsters 1, which was kind of Dragon Quest's take on Pokemon. Fantastic game. So it's been kind of neat, sort of, because I can justify it to myself that like, oh, I'm doing research on these nostalgic Game Boy games, even though I'm literally just slacking off. So that has been wonderful. Timberborn has been great. 1.0 is coming out for that. Would highly recommend if you like any kind of city builder. RimWorld is always a go-to for me. I think I have more hours on that than I care to share. Upcoming games, you know, if I had a Switch 2, I would have bought Air Riders already. That game looks fantastic. Maybe if Echo Isle does well, that'll be my treat. So dangling carrot there.
There we go. Echo Isle, go buy it so that Josh can go get a Switch too. I love that.
100%. Yes.
You are kind of talking kind of like Echo Isle is close. Whereabouts are you in the dev process? Like, when do you think people will be able to play this game? Is it like coming before the end of the year, do you think? Where are we at? Yeah. Okay.
See, I feel like the hard part's done. The all of the controls.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All of the controls and items and enemies and puzzle logic, all of that's done. I mean, you could tell from the demo, like the enemy contacts and the swords and the pause and the settings and save and load and all these things people don't think about. Like, all that stuff is done. So at this point, I'm kind of playing Mario Maker, where I have all my enemies and I have all my puzzles and stuff, and I just need to build out dungeons, and that's what I have left. So I don't want to commit to a hard time, but I don't see that going later than April. Like that gives me 2.5 months to basically play Mario Maker for all day, every day. Yeah, obviously I want more playtest in there, and you know, I'm sure ideas will pop up and things will change, and I might swap out an item somewhere. And the ending's kind of up in the air. I think I've got it written, but I don't. But as a whole, like, I think the game is much closer to being done than not. And given that we have other fantastic Zelda likes coming out, like the Mina the Hollower at some point hopefully, maybe.
It was supposed to be last year, and then
Right?
just out of nowhere it was like, hey, it's a little delay, but we're not telling you when. And
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to Mina as well. That demo rocks. I'm
absolutely.
very much looking forward to that game.
It's a different vibe from Echo, so I don't feel like they're direct competitors. Echo's kind of more of a cozy little cute game, and Mina's kind of like a Dark Souls, but
Oh yeah,
they both
Mina's
have.
mean.
Yeah.
Mina will beat you down. I thought it was a little more like Echo. I thought it was a little more traditional Zelda. Get
Mhm.
curled up under a blanket, listen to some nice chip tunes, and no, you get to that like the first enemy encounter in that demo. I was sitting there going, "Oh, this is an experience I am still up for, but an experience I was not necessarily expecting I was getting."
Absolutely. Yeah, so I do think there's merit to me releasing earlier, because even with Next Fest, I think the last Next Fest had 5,000 entries. Like, I'm obviously not going to release something that's not ready. It's going to be polished, and I'm going to make sure of that. But at the same time, I don't want to just sit on it and wait when it's ready to go out there. So I would say April. Part of me wants to say March, but that seems a little greedy. I would say April seems more plausible for a release, but definitely soon.
That's exciting. And
It
right
is
now
exciting.
it is only Steam. What I'll say, and I know that it's run through
Mhm.
your head a million times, this game would be absolutely amazing on Switch. Like
I'm with you. Same with Firefly Village. I got the same reaction from that. I make my games with a program called Construct 3, which is, you hear your Unities and your Godot's and your Game Makers. Um, Construct 3 is a lot more obscure, but for whatever reason, I sat down with it and it immediately got its hooks in me. And I have been using it ever since. And it is phenomenal. I mean, it makes everything so much easier and so intuitive, but it can't port to Switch. And it drives me crazy. I've spoken with so many porting agencies, and they're like, oh, Construct. No, we don't do Construct. It's like, no. So that is literally why I haven't moved towards that. I can only
wow.
hope
So
that gets
you would
patched. Yeah.
literally have to like build the game back up from nothing. Like
I
right
imagine.
to get it. Yeah, like wow. I didn't even think about that, but it's
Yeah.
funny how just something so in this day and age, something so what
Mhm.
seems so trivial can make or break really what platform it can even go on. That's wild.
It is wild. Yeah, and Construct gives the impression that it's kind of made by a smaller indie passionate team. So I sympathize with them, but it's definitely it would be so good on Switch. I get you.
I would. It would.
Yeah.
The last thing that I will say is, or
Mhm.
the last thing that I'll ask you is, where do you want to point people? We'll roll the red carpet out here. Where can people check out Echo Isle? Do you have any social media that they can find and pour over the game and get all the updates they need to? Take it away, whatever you want to shout out here. That's all. Floor is all yours.
I don't have much. I'm just a guy. I don't have a company or
just,
a
I'm
social
just a
media
guy.
manager. Yeah. Please check out the Steam page. Wishlists are huge for the algorithm. Like I know you hear that, like the like and subscribe and all that. But like actually for real though, the reason Firefly sold well was because it had wishlist going into Next Fest. So if it interests you at all, please check it out. Try out the demo. Consider leaving a wishlist. If you have any feedback, I have a thread on there. I do read them. I don't always post. I get shy. Internet comments kind of scare me, but I do read them, and I do take them into consideration. So yeah, that's all I can ask there. Um, Klein, thank you for having me on this podcast. This has been so cool.
Thank you for coming on. I love talking about cool games with cool people, and you are a member of the Controller Club family now, Josh, whether you like it
Woo!
or not. So I'm very much looking forward to playing the whole game when it
Mhm.
comes out. Steam Next Fest demo is coming. Josh Koenig from Josh Koenig Games. I appreciate you. I appreciate solo devs. I appreciate cool video games, and most of all, appreciate Zelda likes, and we need more of them in the world, and we're getting one. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Pass Klein. How was that conversation, guys? Great stuff. High fives
Yeah, I
all
loved
around.
it. Great. You did a good
We'll
job.
see if that transition works. I don't remember what I said at the end of that interview. What have we been playing over the last week or so? Lauren, you've had it on the dock for a couple weeks now, so we're doing it. We are talking about Cult of the Lamb, Woolhaven. You've been playing it. How do you feel?
Yes, I have been playing Cult of the Lamb Woolhaven, and it is a problem. Will People will remember when we played this. We all played this as a new game plus, I think in 2024, and this game got its hooks in me so good. It's kind of, for those who don't know, it's kind of a mix between Animal Crossing style farming sim and then like roguelike, kind of like Hades, like roguelike, which are two of my favorite things. And it's made by an Australian studio called Massive Monster. They are very cool. They have like just a great style and sense of humor, and it all just kind of culminates in this just delightful game called Cult of the Lamb. And they have been quiet for a few years, and now finally they have released Woolhaven, which is their sort of big major expansion that they're doing with new like story content, new kind of everything. Like I have to say, this is a big expansion. It's almost, I think, about the same size as the original game. So you're basically buying another Cult of the Lamb. It's just that you're building on your existing like cult basically. So the story is kind of that you go up this mountain where there is this lamb god or sheep god, I don't know, and you are going around the mountain and recovering the souls of the dead lambs and bringing them back to Inga, who is the god. And as you do that, you kind of unlock all these new things to do. And in a similar way to Hades 2, it's like you can go up or down the mountain. There's like inside stuff to do, and there's on the surface stuff to do. So you get kind of two different experiences no matter which way you go, and each path has different resources that you can bring back to help build new things in your cult. And it's really fun. I have loved the expansions to the gameplay that they've added. So there's new weapons, there is new enemies, new environments, and I think more importantly is like this setting of winter that they've introduced. So this Slam God is every time that you bring more souls, it's sort of unlocking a new part of winter. And winter is kind of like not good news, because it comes in and you have to now keep your cult warm, and you have to like make sure if your followers freeze, you have to put them in a warm bath, and you can't grow crops in winter, so you have to find other sources of food. So it's kind of like leveling up that survival element, but in like the Cult of the Lamb's best way. And that way is that you can now farm animals. You can have a ranch, and you can have these adorable little guys. They're called like yakishes and cowishes and things like that. They're just like cute iterations of farm animals. And you can farm them and let them grow and feed them and walk them and ride them every day. You can name them, they can be your pets, or you can go and butcher them and feed them to your followers. Like that is what we're dealing with here. That is the Cult of the Lamb way. So that's been really fun. There's other sort of elements, like there's lots of rituals that you can do in Cult of Lamb, and some new ones that they've added that have been very fun is like you can get divorced now. Like because previously you could marry followers, and now you can divorce them as well. So that's really fun. I haven't gotten all the way through it, so there's definitely still a lot of things that I'm still missing that I'm looking forward to uncovering. But with my time with it so far, it's like I slipped back into a place in 2024 where I couldn't put it down, and that's what's happening. So it's very addictive. I've run into a couple of technical issues, but that's really the only thing that I can say negatively about this game.
It's cool that they are offering this sort of level of content that it isn't just like a, hey, we're going to make Cult of the Lamb 2. They have, I mean, they've been doing it since the game came out, but they have really been supporting this thing. And this feels like the full expansion, a full kind of second chapter, a new life for this game while they work on whatever comes next.
Yeah, do you think, like, from your perspective, Lauren, would you rather they just keep, making expansions like this, or do you want like a full Cult of the Lamb 2 at this point?
I think I kind of liked that this was just an expansion. It meant I didn't have to start over again. Like I
Yeah,
did,
that's true.
jumping back in for the first time in like a year, I had sort of forgotten a lot of what to do. And oh my God, all my followers who I'd named after you guys and friends are all dying. And I was like, oh, I've forgotten about you all, that I have to look after you. But, they give you a whole new area. So if you'd already built out your cult as much as possible, you have a whole new space to start building all these new things. And I think that's kind of the way to go. Like, don't feel like you need to reinvent the whole wheel, like just build on what's working. And so if they came out in like another year or two with like, here's Cult of the Lamb, I don't know, Firehole or something like that, I would be like, great. I will go back and play that and pay another $25 or whatever it is, because it was the most expensive DLC that they've released, but I don't think it was as expensive as the main game. So I kind of am into it. Like, I don't think I need to like have 5 to 7 year gaps between games if we could just get like piecemeal like this, where it is the content's still so good. Yeah, so I really like it, and yeah, maybe it'll entice you guys to return. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I had a fun time with Cult of Lamb, and I would like to get back to it at some point. There's just so many things, God of War Metrovanias are here. I'm still stuck in Bilewater and Hollow Knight Silk Song. We'll see if I ever leave that area.
Yeah, well, this was like my Silk Song, I think, when it was coming out earlier this year. I'm like, this is my first big thing that I really want to get back into. And also, shout out to Massive Monster. Like I said, they're an Australian development team, but their marketing or their socials have just been taken over by a friend of mine, Ruby Innes, who has always been a long time fan of Cult of the Lamb. So seeing them finally be paired together is very cool. So go check out their socials. They're a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I want to shout out a game that I've been playing over the last week. Tom, Overwatch is back. Overwatch is back. They dropped the new season. 5 new heroes are here. I have not gotten a chance to play with any of them because I am just dipping my toes back in this game for the first time in years. They've dropped the 2. It is now just called Overwatch again, and I'm really liking it. There are some subtle changes to the game that have been made since I was last there. They've added a new perk system where throughout the game you will kind of earn XP towards a perk, and then you can have up to 2 perks. Like each hero kind of has 2 perks you can pick at a time, but then you can have up to 2 equipped throughout the level of the game, and it'll do small things like change one of your powers slightly. Like I play a lot of Moira, and so when she's shooting out one of her healing bubbles, you can have a perk where midway as the bubble travels, you can change it to a damage bubble and stuff like that. And it feels like a whole new game to me because I, as I said, haven't played in years. So there's so many heroes on this list that I do not know, but I'm having fun. I'm dipping my toes in some new heroes that I'm not super familiar with. I've been playing a lot of Baptiste, who I think was introduced right around the time when I quit Overwatch the first time. And I'm really liking it. Like it feels maybe not as good as it did when I was at my peak Overwatch playing, but it's getting really close, and it is really scratching that itch for me that I guess something like Marvel Rivals could have done so for me for years at this point. But I'm happy to be back in this world and interacting with these characters, and I want to play some of the new heroes that are all out now.
It's crazy. I never thought I'd hear this ever, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. I mean, look, if you want to squad up at some point, maybe I'll give it a go.
It can happen.
Don't you get started.
It's a thing. It's like this like toxic ex that like keeps calling me back, and I'm just like, I guess I'll have one more.
Yeah, you got that 3 AM text saying yup, and I was like, I am. Yep, let's go.
It's just crazy to me that like, yeah, they like introduce all of this stuff that like they basically turned it back into Overwatch 1. Like
that's 100% what they did.
There's all these other things, like that, these shiny things. So I mean, I am on the Marvel Rivals train still. Like I'm still really enjoying playing that game and keeping up with it. So if I did play Overwatch, I don't think I could balance both. It would have to be one or the other. But like,
well, Tom, what if I told you that they have? So when Overwatch first came out, they had some respect, and then Marvel Rivals came out, and Marvel Rivals was like, guess what? You know what people love? They love thick thighs and beach bods, and so we're gonna lean into that. All these skins are gonna be so hot, and Overwatch with this new season, they're leaning into it as well now. They are doing they are leaning into our worst tendencies, and you know what? I'm not upset about it.
I mean, I'm happy for you. The thing is, I bought so many loot boxes and so many like
loot boxes skins are back as well.
I know, it's like I can't do that again. Like I have I'll go into my Overwatch account, I have so many skins. Like it's absurd. I don't want to think about how much money I spent on that game. So I guess I got to make it worth it. Maybe
you also have a level now devoted to each character. So like when you go into a game, it shows you it's like, oh, you're level 200 Moira or a level 2 Hanzo or whatever.
Oh, okay, interesting. Fine.
Download it. It's so fun. It's so fun. What have you been playing, Tom?
Not much to shout out really. Like I've been playing Marvel Rivals, which I never really shout out because it's a constant thing. But yeah, the only thing, and I won't get into it too much because I think we'll have a deeper conversation about it at some point. But I've started Clair Obscur, and I have some thoughts about it. I like the combat a lot. The combat is really, really good, and I think that's all I'm gonna say for now because there's a lot to get into that game, I think. But
Yeah,
I
if
want
you
to get
speak
through it a bit more.
anymore, you'll get gamaged. I don't
Yeah,
make the
exactly.
rules.
So I don't want that to happen. So yeah, that's a bit of it.
Okay, hop on over to comment corner before we get out of here. Tom, do we have any comments? You put some in the doc this week, so congratulations. High fives all
I
around.
did. You know what's funny? I put these in literally 5 minutes before the live stream happened. Because I was like, oh shit, I gotta put these in. No, so we haven't really got like too many comments here, but for some reason there's this reel that we posted a while ago, and it's a clip from the open worlds episode where we did a bracket of our favorite open worlds. And in this reel, I try to make the case of Xenoblade Chronicles X being a better open world than Cyberpunk 2077. You guys shot me down pretty quick, but we've got some Xenoblade from fans in our comments apparently, and people are finding this video somehow. So I just want to shout them out here. At Shuckle is cool 7330 says Xenoblade X forever, and at Levi-R50 says Xenoblade Chronicles wins in my opinion. So I don't know what to tell you guys. The people have spoken.
Tom,
and, they're on my side.
but those people, one of them, their favorite Pokemon is Shuckle. So you know what? I don't.
Come on.
How much weight can you put into that opinion?
There's a pretty cool Shuckle card that they released recently in the recent.
No
TCG
such thing.
stuff.
That's a
I'm
yellow.
convinced.
I'll show you. It's pretty cool.
I'm convinced that it's Tom under different aliases.
Yeah, burners. We figured
Yeah.
it out.
Well, who controls Comment Corner? That's all I'm going to say.
That's right.
This week's comment corner question of the week is: what is your take on the PlayStation State of Play? What were some of your favorite announcements? You can let us know over on social media. We are at Controller Club Pod on Instagram and Blue Sky, at Controller_Club on Twitter, and at Controller.Club on TikTok. Also, you can leave a comment here on YouTube or on podcast services around the globe. Let us know what your favorite announcement was. Let us know what you think of the show. You can do that everywhere. We love interacting with you, and rate and review us wherever you're listening. It really helps us out. Tom, where can people keep up with you, and what do you have going on in your life?
Yeah, you can find me at Tom Gerard, Instagram, Blue Sky, basically everywhere on the internet. Not much to promote other than if you're watching the YouTube channel, just stick around the channel. There's a bunch of content. We're trying to push as much as possible. We've got a bunch of reels. We've got more reels in the works. Pokemon Presents Predictions highlight video also up on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked it out already, give it a watch. It's a bit of fun.
We're coming from Mr. Beast. Watch out, Jimmy. We got you in our sights. Lauren, what do you have going on in your life, and where can people keep up with it?
Yes, you can find me and Klein at Fan Expo this weekend. We'll be posting about it on our socials, I assume. And mine is at LRouse19. So very excited about that. We will be, maybe by the time you listen to this, it'll be over, but we will be there. We'll be maybe talking or listening or seeing Christopher Judge, Kratos from God of War, and some other exciting people. I'm excited about seeing the Smallville cast. So there will be cool things that we are reporting on.
Should I download the first episode of Smallville and watch it on the plane tomorrow, Lauren?
Is this just so you know who they are? Because you're gonna have to get to like season 5.
I'd like to have the taste in my mouth. I'd like to see if I, could get excited.
The theme
about
song
it.
alone.
You could have just done it when I told you to 2 weeks ago.
No, but we started Gossip Girl, and that's been the whole thing.
I don't see any Gossip Girl people there.
Well, yeah, no, there's none. I was trying to think. But the mom from Halloween Town's going to be there, and that's huge. That's
let's go.
She's also April O'Neil in the original TMNT movie.
Cool.
Yeah, you can keep up with me everywhere. I'm at the Kleinfelt, TheKleinFelt. That's going to wrap up a jam-packed episode of Controller Club. As always, thank you so much for listening and watching. Now, let's get gaming.